my assumption would be you already play Fantasy Premier League or the FPL before watching this. And what we want to do is update you on the changes from last season to this season, which I noticed basically a lot of people are not aware of. Malcolm, if you don't mind, do you want to start? There are three main changes actually to how it normally works. You can talk about the three changes and we can just discuss how we're actually viewing that going into the season.
Yeah, CT, thank you. So, three changes, main changes to FPL this season, and I think it's going to really affect the way the game is played. So, the first one is the ability to roll more transfers. So, last season, you could only roll up to two transfers, and after the two transfers, it goes away. This season, now you can roll up to five. And if you play a chip like your wild card or free hits, you wouldn't lose your transfers. So your transfers wouldn't reset back to one like before. I think that's a big deal. It's going to really affect the way the game is played because transfers are a huge part of being an FPL manager.
Oh yeah. So how are you viewing that? Like, just to kind of just add to what you're saying. Usually, um, you get one transfer a week, right? And if you don't use that transfer in any given game week over the course of 38 game weeks, right, you would actually roll over that to the next week. Now, if you roll it over more than twice, you don't get a third one before this season. Your maximum transfers you can actually have or roll over would be two transfers. So for this season, what Malcolm is saying is that they've allowed you to roll over five times. So if you love your team and you're not getting injuries, you don't want to change anything, and you just want to keep going, you can actually add it all up to five transfers, and that's massive if you play this game in the kind of ways you can maneuver your team when you absolutely need to, in terms of blank weeks and double game weeks and injuries, as this all bad form, or you don't like your player as the season. So just before we move on to the next change, what would you say is the biggest point about this change that you're actually looking forward to, or how you plan to take advantage of it?
Yeah, so I think this change is going to make a huge impact. First, I think for inactive players, changes that you make, transfers that you make, you take less negative points. So imagine you just come back after you've not looked at your team after 5 weeks. You can make transfers to your team, and your team becomes good again. Before, if you were an inactive player and you came back, you then realize that you have to take hits to have a team that's reasonable. That's like a huge change. I think at the end of the season, it's really going to affect show in people's rankings. And then also, if you have a good team and you're able to manage your transfers really well, you notice that you're able to make changes when injuries happen that can also help you keep your active rank. Before now, let's say if you're doing very well, your team is good, you've had to, because not every you don't have to make changes every time. Because you have two transfers, it doesn't really mean that before you had to make changes if your team is good. But the old system really incentivized you to make those transfers because you use them. But now, in cases of emergencies, there's sometimes when injuries may happen and your team is doing good. You come in and you can make those transfers and still be top of your league. So I think this one is going to make a huge impact on the game, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it really affects people's strategies. The other one that comes to mind is around the wild card. So the wild card, I really love the wild card chip because it's something that you can use twice a season and you can make all kinds of changes to your team. But now, with the ability to roll more transfers, I feel like it really diminishes the value of the wild card. Now, I think it's not as I usually would keep my wild card towards to later in the season. But I think with this for now, you can be more aggressive if you want to play a wild card early because you know if you have a good team, you can have more transfers that roll around, roll, and then you're going to be able to still have have ability to make changes later. So yeah, we'll see how it affects the season.
So I think the interesting thing you did say there was about the fact that with wild cards, after you play it, you don't lose your transfer. So you can play a wild card, which you get two wild cards every year, right? So you get two wild cards every year, and you get one before the end of December and one after, um, basically from the new year. And whenever you choose to play that, if you have transfers that you've already saved up, you don't have to lose them. You can still make a change 1 week after you just played your wild card. So that would be interesting. And the other part is also avoiding taking negative points, which is usually if you go more than your allocated one or two transfers maximum in a game week, you would get a -4 for each change you make, or -4 points. I don't think I want to take any of those -4 points anymore. If you're giving me up to 5 transfers, just gotta plan it out early. And that would also encourage people not to make rash changes to their team. So that would be interesting. There will be a lot of regret where people would be like, I should have gotten this player in this week, but I was saving for for an extra transfer
Exactly.
and I didn't get them in. So that would be an interesting thing that would also occur. And you want to talk about the second change, or the second major change that is actually impacting the FPL this season.
Yeah, the second major change is the changes to the bonus point system. So really, for the bonus point system, after every game, depending on how a player performs, you can get the ability to get up to 3 points for the top performance performing players in the game. So it's usually 3 points, 2 points, and 1 point. So your players will get those additional 3 points or 2 points or 1 point. This season, there's been some changes into how those bonus points are awarded. So just a couple things. It's the system now rewards players who have fouled more and take more shots on targets. So it gives more value to players like Salah. So Salah gets fouled quite a lot. Players like Saka gets fouled quite a lot. Players like Palmer gets fouled quite a lot. Salah takes lots of shots. Saka takes lots of shots. Um, and this would really impact the way those man of the match awards. And also, you get less points for goalkeepers. You get less points for saving a penalty, which I don't think is fair, because saving a penalty makes such a huge difference in the game. But that's what the change has been. And then now, if for some reason your goalkeeper scores a goal, like I remember Allison scored a goal a couple seasons ago, you get 10 points. So yeah, lots of
Mm.
changes there. Yeah, yeah.
Those random goalkeeper goals is now actually gonna be worth more, right? So that's
What
actually
more points?
interesting. Yeah, it will be worth more points. But yeah, as you said, the penalty save going from 15 bonus points, like in the BPS or bonus point system scoring, to 9, I think that's not necessary. I think penalties are huge if a goalkeeper
Mhm.
saves one. They also did something where they increased, I think, a goalkeeper or a defender conceding a goal reduces 4 bonus points scoring system. So now when your team gets hammered or lose 4-3 or concedes more goals, the chances of a defender, even though the defender scored, getting bonus points now becomes lower because of that actual penalty on the. So when you look at
Yeah.
that bonus point system, who do you think this is favoring, or who is actually going to get set back by these new changes or the new additions on this system? You already mentioned people like Saka, Salah, right, and Cole Palmer in terms of fouls won and shots on target that could favor them. But like this definitely feels like in the bonus point system, defenders are going to be left out and goalkeepers are actually being punished a little bit.
Yeah, I definitely feel like defenders are definitely going to get punished. So if you think about Man City defenders come to mind, they usually could have defenders that give assists or score goals, but they may not necessarily keep a clean sheet. Man City, you could see them scoring 4, then 80 minutes. So one team has scored
Some.
one goal as a consolation. It always happens to me. Personally, I have
Mhm.
gradually in my team, so I think this definitely affects defenders quite a bit. The person I still think it helps in a sense is Trent Alexander-Arnold, just because of the number of shots he takes and the chances he creates. Even though other defenders it might affect them, but I think for Trent, it will definitely. It's still this new point system would help him. So I also think it penalizes central defenders. Central defenders most of the time the way they can get those points are from bonus points are from getting clean sheets. So, and it's very difficult for a central defender to score. Um, and I think this is something that's going to affect.
They score
Yeah.
more though with headers. Don't they score
Yes.
more with headers when you think of Van Dijk and like Connors? Like they do
Well,
score more than fullbacks. It's just that fullbacks get assists.
yes, yeah. So they do score more than fullbacks, but I do think like they're few and far between. Personally, I prefer to
Oh
go for
yeah.
the fullbacks. I prefer to go for the
Yeah.
fullbacks. Like you could have Gabriel or Van Dijk maybe scoring 4 or 5 goals a season. When it happens, it's usually very, very wonderful. But I feel like with someone like Trent, you can expect at least 10 to 15 assists a season from him. Chances created, fullbacks that create chances. I think those are essential in FPL.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the final main change, we don't really have much to talk about it, but just to let people know, it's what they call the mystery chip, and we would only know about what that mystery is in January when it's unveiled by the FPL team. So we don't really know what the mystery chip is going to be, but I guess we're expecting one new chip in FPL this year, which is called the mystery chip. Do you have any thoughts about what they might be planning?
Yeah, I think this mystery chip definitely can make a huge difference. The thing that comes to mind that they potentially do, it could be that on a game week, all your players get double points. That's something that comes to mind. I think that will be something that's aggressive and can make a huge impact in the season. I think they'll make it. They'll make it
What
fun
if
like that.
what if they let you pick the game week? You know how they have the double game week? They let you
Right.
pick when you want to use the chip. Something like that.
I think they will let you choose when you want to use the chip, like other game weeks. But I think it
Eh?
has to be forward looking. It can't be retroactive. That's the only thing. Um, the other chip that comes to my head that they removed from few seasons ago was the all out attack. I think if they want to be boring, they will choose all out attack.
And bring
But
it back. I feel like they got a
yeah,
mystery chip and they just bring something from the past,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah,
uh, that would
yeah.
be interesting. I thought about it. I couldn't really make sense of what they could be planning.
Yeah, or maybe it could be instead of a triple captain, quadruple captain. Defenders get double points. Defenders get double
Or
points.
since they are punishing defenders and goalkeepers, it might have something to do with them and boosting them a little bit um,
Yeah,
at some
yeah,
point later in the season. So that's actually gonna be interesting.